Hello, this video is being recorded in front of a live studio audience. Hi, welcome to Food with the Rumseys. I am David Rumsey, and today I am cooking some sausage gravy. Now, you could use turkey sausage or even a vegetarian sausage if you don't like pork sausage, but what I've got going here in the pan that I've been cooking is just a good quality breakfast sausage. And I've been kind of just cooking it down, breaking it up for our sausage gravy. And then the way I like to do this is once this is cooked up, which I'm almost there, is I'm actually going to take this out and just put it in a bowl. And I'm going to use the same pan with the grease drippings from the sausage to make my sausage gravy. Okay. As you can see here, I've strained out my sausage. Some people don't do this. It's not, I think, 100% necessary. That's the way I like to do it. Now there's a few bits of sausage left. You can see I have a little bit of the grease. This is actually pretty lean sausage. We get ours from a local company in Roanoke called Seven Sons. They have very good sausage and beef. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a roux to get our sauce started for our biscuits and gravy. So I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of butter to this. And I'm going to let this kind of start melting down. You want to make sure that your pan, it's obviously warm enough to heat the butter up, but you don't want it so hot that you're going to burn the butter here at this stage. So I'm melting the butter all down here. So you can see I've got this nice little pan, and if the butter browns a little bit, that's actually even better. You get a nice brown butter flavor to it, but you don't want it to burn. Then to that, I am going to add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Now I don't level them off precisely, so it's like 1, 2, and maybe 3 and a bit. And then what I'm going to do, here is simply just stirring this butter and flour mixture together. You actually want to cook this for a few seconds or so, so that you don't get that raw flour taste. This is actually what's going to thicken up our sauce. Again, this is called a roux. And the easiest way to do these is typically it's a 1-to-1. So how much ever fat you have in there, so if you got a tablespoon of fat, like a tablespoon of butter, you need to put in a tablespoon of flour. And also if you're saying, well, how much liquid? It's typically a 1-1-1. So 1 tablespoon of flour, 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 cup of liquid is how you typically do it. Now I like to darken mine up a little bit, gives it a nice little flavor. And then what I'm going to do is turn the heat down a little bit here so I don't burn it. Pull it off the pan here so I can measure out. Now, with our gravy, we like to add in some chicken stock. I find it adds a really good flavor to it. So I'm going to put in a cup of chicken stock. And this is the chicken stock that you can see on another video that we make ourselves and can. You could use store-bought chicken stock. And then, even though I have enough in here for 3 cups, I'm going to start by just putting in another cup. And you can use milk, but I'm actually using almond milk here. And so I'm going to stir this and heat this back up. Now you want to make sure to whisk this to make sure you get all of that dissolved, all those flour bits and butter dissolved in here. And you're going to want to be bringing this to a boil here. And you're going to notice that it's going to start thickening. Now you could put the whole 3 cups in all at once, but I like to kind of gauge it because sometimes I've found that if I put 3 cups in, it doesn't thicken the gravy enough. It still gets too thin. So I like to kind of start with a little bit less liquid, significantly less liquid, and then as it starts to thicken, add additional liquid in. Now, to thicken it, we are going to have to bring this up to a boil. So now it's boiling here. And it does take a minute or two for it to thicken up. Now, while we're waiting for it to thicken up, we do have a recommendation that whenever you eat the sausage gravy or biscuits and gravy, that you partake then in some heavy cardio, working outside in the yard, rock climbing, because this is a pretty heavy carb load meal and everything. But it is very tasty. So I'm still just waiting for this to thicken up. Okay, so it is definitely thickened here. I don't know how well you can tell this from the camera, but it's definitely thickened up here. Now this is where, at this point, this really kind of is personal taste on how spicy you like your gravy for sausage gravy. I like to have a fair amount of black pepper in my sausage gravy, so I'm going to grab my black pepper here and grind quite a bit of black pepper in here. You could even put in some cayenne pepper if you really wanted to add a little bit of heat. But I have no idea as far as a precise measurement of what that is. It's some. And hopefully you can see that it's getting a nice thick texture here. Now, another thing that you can always do is, there we go. I'm going to pull it off the heat because it's nice and thick now here, and I don't want to over thicken it. And if you over thicken it, you just add a little bit of stock back in. I'm going to put my sausage back in here. And I'm going to switch back to my spoon here. Kind of stir it in. Put it back on the heat here. Now, this might need some salt. So, salt is a flavor enhancer. It's not a spice, but you really need salt in your food. Otherwise, it's going to be very bland. So I'm just basically taking a small spoonful of this. I'm like, okay, does this taste right here? And it tastes actually pretty good. But I am going to add just a tiny bit of salt. It's a tiny bit bland, so I'm going to just add a pinch of salt in there. And then mix it. And you can see it's nice and thick here. And since I'm just eating this, I'm going to use the same spoon again. Delicious. And I mean, it's tempting just to eat this right out of the pan here, but I would recommend watching our video on making biscuits, and having this over some freshly baked biscuits is just fabulous.